I was very interested to see the news story about Alabama and the legalization of yoga in public schools there. Tell us a little bit about how you came to champion that cause.
So I was first elected, I guess it was November 6th, 2018. And so going to my first session in 2019, I was like touring different schools in my district, political engagement, civic engagement, just kind of talking about my position as a lawmaker. And, I really didn't know about my position as a lawmaker because I wasn't even in office yet, right? And so I was at a high school. It was one of the more predominant high schools in the area. Is Auburn, Alabama. And so they actually were thinking about creating a yoga class as kind of like a option to do because they have something called Tiger Break. And doing Tiger Break, you can cycle, you can play basketball, you can do all these things. And you had a few certified teachers that were going to create a yoga class, and they couldn't do it because of a rule. So I so happened to be there that day, and I started talking about how like yoga meditation really helped me in my journey, and everyone kind of looked at me like, okay, we don't, yoga is banned in school. You can't talk about yoga. So that's when I first was introduced to the ban that happened in 1993. And then from there, that was kind of like my first piece of legislation that I brought forth in 2019. And so, as you know, 2019, they say, "Are you crazy? You're not going to bring yoga in schools?" And they made a mockery of the bill, and gave me the runner up for the deadest bill in session. And in 2020, COVID happened, so I passed it through the House, but not the Senate. And now this year, I was able to get it through the House, the Senate, and the governor signed it about a week ago from today.
That's amazing. And how were you able to? I mean, I assume Alabama. I know it has a Republican governor. I assume it has probably super majorities of Republicans in the House and the Senate, state House and Senate. How were you able to bring Republicans along to your side?
So it was really about just educating them and about yoga and how I have done it as an athlete. But then I kind of changed the narrative. I made it more about mental health, right? And in Alabama, we just kind of started funding mental health in school, like where we actually allocating dollars towards that. So I was like, this is more of a preventative way, self-care way that, you can help kids with stress, anxiety, and it has a physical component as well. So I got like the physicians, educators, all these yogis in Alabama, and we kind of built a coalition. And they was like calling their state representative, their senator, they call them like each and every day. And the dynamic change, it kind of shifted a little bit. So now people came in like, oh, well, my wife does it. My daughter does it. So some of these older guys who were against it, they was hearing it from their wives and their daughters. And it's like, well, my wife does it and she's a Christian, so it must not be too bad, right? And so that's how I was able to really create that momentum to get it passed. But, for some people, no matter what I do, yoga is going to be a religion, and so that's kind of what I'm dealing with in Alabama. But with so much press and so much going on, I hope they feel very embarrassed that we even discussing yoga in schools and what they kind of been trying to do to the bill. So that's why media is a great thing, right? When you're in a place like Alabama.
Is Alabama, or was Alabama, the only state that banned yoga in schools?
The only state. So when I first started, I was like,
when I heard about it, I thought it was crazy. I was like, I didn't even understand the story when I first read it.
Yeah, I mean, when I was doing research, right, NCSL, they kind of help us with legislation in states. So they'll compare us to other states. So they were like, this is what they did in California. So I reached out to them. I said, can you all help me with the yoga bill? They was like, you're on your own, because Alabama is the only place in which it's banned. I said, oh my God, right? So I was like, okay, I don't know what to do. So I go to LSA and we started talking about what would be a passable bill. So that's how we got to the compromise of kind of taking out the chants and the mantras and namaste and all those things, because I felt like if I could at least take the undertone of Eastern philosophy out, they would buy it, right? And so they did. I got bipartisan support. Of course, if it was my way, it would just be yoga, right? Because yoga is westernized now. It's not like in India. It's not, it's Americanized in a Western way. So it's not a big deal, and everyone does it. So I didn't really see where the opposition would come from with it. But when I started hearing the insane, rhetoric around you gonna convert someone into Hinduism by doing a downward dog, or it was just crazy, and it's still crazy to me today. But you just kind of understand like the dynamics in politics. People are very much conservative in Alabama. Well, not everyone, right? And some people thought it was all of Alabama. No, it wasn't all of Alabama. It was just conservative groups who got to some of the lawmakers that are in positions of power. And when you're in power in politics, you can kind of stop bills. So that's kind of the journey that I was going. It's kind of almost like a miracle sometimes.
Yeah. So I'm curious, so what's your next cause that you're going to champion? Since you probably got the only Democratic bill of the whole year.
I actually got about 4 bills passed.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, the yoga bill just got the more attention because it was so foolish, right? I actually had a bill that was going to be one of the economic drivers in Alabama, where I created a matching fund through a commission that I was a part of called Innovation Alabama. And we actually created matching funds on a federal level for SBIR, so that's Small Business Innovation Research, and STTR, which is Small Technology Transfer Research. And this is a matching fund for high tech, high reward startup companies. And there's a way to, attract those high tech companies into Alabama by offering them an incentive. So that was probably the most important bill that I passed this session. I also passed the electric bike bill to codify language around electric bikes in municipalities and what that looks like. And then I passed a nursing bill around a board of nursing, giving them autonomy and, basically letting them rule their board and make decisions. So I had quite a few bills, and I had quite a few amendments that I put on bills to make them very well, as far as the athlete compensation bill that pays athletes. It was something in the bill that was actually going to make it a felony for athletes to, take money or, do mischievous things. But I was able to codify that, and I was able to put some minority language in a few bills, like a broadband bill. So I had a great overall session, but the yoga bill was, what money could buy, right? It's like somebody say that, you got real high value for something that really is not even that much value, but it's the shock value of, this is what they did in Alabama. Not only is it banned, look what they have done to the bill. You can't even say namaste, right? And so it was just one of those moments, one of those things that probably only happened once in a person's career. Hopefully it happens again with something more positive.